This is where the fun begins.
Are you sure? So be it.
Hi everyone, and did you miss me? Well, welcome to my channel, OG Stars Star Wars. This is Alora Baga, and I'm so happy to be here with you guys for Thursday morning CAF chat. How are you guys doing? I do see that I have the chat hopping here again with some comments coming out. And some of the comments are based upon one of the main topics for today's show. So with that being said, if you haven't went and voted yet for your favorite impractical, I guess you can say, Jedi, or unconventional Jedi, go ahead and do that. Right now it's at 50-50, and there's a reason why I only added these two Jedi. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's other unconventional Jedis out there that are unique, even though they're not very powerful in some situations or some abilities and stuff. But we have Tion Salusar, or Tion, and then Corran Horn. So they were at a tie, but now it's Corran is at 56 and Tion is at 44. So go ahead and vote on that. And doesn't mean that they're your favorites, but maybe you like one's abilities or one's purpose more than the other. I don't know, but go ahead and go vote on that. So I see everybody's hopping in. So welcome. If you're joining the chat, please hit that like button. Please share out that we are live here this morning. And most of all, what is in your mug? What are you enjoying here? Now I have a mic here, and hopefully you guys can hear me better or gooder or clearer or whatever. And so hopefully it's working like it's supposed to. It is set on. It is set up from far as what I can tell. I set it up correctly. So, and I'm happy to have some new equipment for the studio. So thank you guys to all that support the channel as channel members. Thank you so much, because this does go towards whatever I make, goes towards what I can do to improve CAF chat in any which way possible. And that goes with equipment. I'm still deciding where I want to move the recording part of my art studio. So my art studio basically is not just my paintings and all that, but it's also my production for videos and stuff like that. So I want to kind of clear a corner for this and have a more secluded area than being kind of in this middle center of my studio. So thank you guys again. Hopefully I'll be able to get a green screen and have a private corner for this, and then have other things other than you see in my background here with all the organized chaos going on in the back. So let's see who's in the stream. Oh, and if you're catching the replay, as always, smash that like button, leave a comment below, let me know you came in. And again, what's in your mug? What are you enjoying? So today's topics, we are going to get into lore talk, Corran Horn, which I figured, well, we'll get into X-Wing series or X-Wings a little bit, since that's where he was relatively introduced to first. And then, hey, I have my blanket. I have my Star Wars t-shirt, you know, the Star Wars before it's called A New Hope. Yeah. So Corran Horn. We have also a 2 Cringe Factor articles we're going to do today. Dun, dun, dun. And Tion Salusar, I guess we're going to talk a little bit about her, because one of the Cringe Factors will um, have her compare her to that person that's in that Cringe Factor. And what else? Oh, and also another breaking news. Now, this is not a Gino Carano thing, but this is something that you guys do need to know about. I think it's very important that you guys need to know about the um, other factors of what's going on around Lucasfilm, not inside, but around, and be aware of these people who write for these so-called pop culture sites and how they treat the fans and how they handle the fans and stuff. So I have a little bit of controversy behind that, what's going on with that. I think it's important to touch bases on. I think it's important for you guys to know. I mean, everybody's going to know the popular news that's going on today, Gina Carano. So yeah, but let's go ahead and see who's in here. So I have Rodimus Prime. Hello. How are you doing? Yes, it's been a while. And he says, I don't agree with your takes and opinions are with all of your takes and opinions. Now, if I can only read, but I do enjoy your videos and live streams. Thank you so much. But hey, they call opinions for a reason, so it's fine if we disagree at times. Correct. And that's all I say is, like, you don't have to agree with me all the time. It'd be boring. It'd be very fucking boring if you guys agreed with me all the damn time, or if we all agreed all the damn time. I don't know if I want the speaker on this side. Hello. Not speaker, but mic. But anyways, if we agreed all the time, then we'd be like robots. We'd be programmed. It's idiocy to think that even if we have some similar viewpoints and similar likes, that we are going to agree all the fucking time. No, we're not. And that's even apparent on the spacing when we're all together meeting on the spacing and we get into a topic. And Greg Tuscan Bob is a one of the truth of this, and I do this sometimes too, and each one of us does, but there's times where we don't agree with each other, and we discuss it, and then that's it. But disagreement doesn't mean hate. It just means a greater conversation of maybe creating some kind of understanding on our own viewpoints or the own situation that's going on at the time. So yeah, so Rodimus Prime, thank you for hopping in and joining and hanging out. And then Gordon's here, and Gordon has a lot to say about Corran Horn, which I will read. I think it's very important. Like I said, this is what CAF Chat's about. CAF Chat is about getting together, discussing Star Wars lore, what we might and may or may not like about it, especially the EU and some books, some characters. We're not all going to agree on what we like with that. But again, it's sitting down discussing, like, oh, well, I like this character, but I didn't like this situation about this character at this point in time. And that's what it is about, all about talking about Star Wars. So there we go. So good morning to you, Gordon. And then we have this right here. This made me giggle because how it sounds. Blippity blop a oop, or e oop or a oop. So like kind of sounds like a little verse kind of thing. So pretty cool. Gordon says, I confess when I first read of Corran in iJedi, I didn't really like him. And I've heard a lot of people say that if they read iJedi first before the X-Wings, as I found him rather arrogant, egotistical towards Luke, despite being a so-called friend. And yeah, so he does kind of seem off-putting in that. I do agree. There's some situations I like the character. I really like the character, but there are some situations in iJedi I'm like, what the fuck are you thinking? Why are you writing him this way? Why do you have to like one up Luke, the master, who has more experience? And you always denied him your service, like coming into training and stuff like that, so what is this about? Now all of a sudden you're going to take it, so there's a lot I have to say about iJedi and how the direction that it was written. I thought it was kind of off a little, and not off, but there's situations that was off or are off. But X-Wing series with Corran Horn, I like them because it was well developed for his character. So, and I know my friend Matt Wilkins does not like Corran Horn, and so when he was reading through and doing the rereads on X-Wing series And Matt Wilkins, leave a comment below. Let me know once you catch this replay what you think. I don't care if you put a lot of venom in it. You know, like I said, opinions are just that. You know, we can talk about a character and we don't have to agree. We don't have to like the character or like the character. So, yeah. So we're going to go more on this. I found it rather odd that Jedi High Council let the Corellian Jedi do their own thing and stay somewhat separate from the rest of the Order, letting them have wives and children and such during Clone Wars era. Well, that was even before Clone Wars era. I think that was well established before Clone Wars era, and it just stayed that way. Corellia basically has always been in very, very, very independent rogue type system. So that does make sense. And so it was neat to read of Corran's grandfather, Karen Halcyon, in the Clone Wars novel Jedi Trial, serving alongside Anakin Skywalker. Yeah. I was disappointed to read that you could use any old junk rhinestone of a fancy decanter for your lightsaber crystal when building your lightsaber like Corran did, instead of a Kyber or Adigan one. Actually, Kyber wasn't really used much at all, only in Splinter of the Mind's Eye. It was never necessary one to be found or used even after post Return of the Jedi, because of how the Empire destroyed a lot of places where you can get crystals. Like, for example, I think Sigol, the Calamari Jedi, she uses a pearl from her planet, like a pearl for her one of her crystals inside her lightsaber. There you can make synthetic, you can use other crystals and stuff too. So it's not just those two, and that's been well established in the lore, especially after the fall of the Empire. After the Empire rose and destroyed a lot of means of getting crystals, and even after, there was also every kind of lightsaber color of the rainbow mentioned being used by Jedi during Clone Wars era. Yeah, there was certain colors, yes, and that was something that that was established, and there's nothing wrong with that. Also, didn't like that he could conjure up these super powerful force storms with little training, but yet he couldn't do something so basic as telekinesis. Basic Jedi skills, what the fuck? Ha ha ha. Well, that's the thing. That's what's established, is not everybody can use certain abilities as a Jedi. Everybody had their own type of abilities and stuff. So telekinesis isn't one that is like, what am I going to say? Telekinesis isn't just one that all Jedi can use. It's common, yeah, but does it mean that every single Jedi is going to have the ability? No. Like there's going to be some Jedi that can't do mind tricks. There's going to be some Jedi that can't do other things as well. So it's just showing and sharing that not all Jedi is going to have the same abilities, and that's okay. That's okay. I think that's what I love about Corran, is that he doesn't know how to use telekinesis. And by the way, if you're coming in, please hit the like button and vote who is your favorite unconventional Jedi. So that what I mean is, like, those who have are not as powerful, that have certain power abilities, but not the common ones as well. So I used only two here, Tion Celusar and Corran Horn. So right now, Tion is at 36% and Corran is at 64%. So go ahead and vote for that. And I do see I have a super chat that came in, and I'll grab you here pretty soon. So thank you so much. And hello, Matt G. How are you doing? Nice bit of cups. Cheers to you. Howdy, Allure. Howdy, chat. Hey. Howdy, Zagrot. I can't even talk today. That's what I found out today. I've been so quiet this morning, just doing things around the house. Look at my hair; it's just wild today. Damn. Okay. Sergeant Chris Schultz says, and he is a channel member. Thank you. Hell, Star Wars Squawk Box here. Hey, how are you doing, Squawk Box? How are you? Let's see. I think Quinlan Voss is my favorite unconventional Jedi. Alrighty. Like I said, I only do those two because we're doing we're only discussing things pertaining to those two in a sense today. And then Melissa Lord, another channel member. What's up? Hey girl, OG Star Wars, how are you doing? And tonight is Casual Rage. And so we'll probably see beautiful Melissa Lord there. You'll probably see me pop in. I plan after I'm done here, I plan on hitting the gym so that my evening's free. Actually, you know what? You'll see me in the chat for a little bit because I am heading up to attend a workshop, a yoga workshop tonight. So I'll probably be listening in as I drive up and stuff. So I may say hello in the chat, but if I don't say back to you and you say hello to me and tag me, I'm not ignoring you. There's a lot of chances when I listen to like Casual Rage, I'm working out or I'm traveling or whatever. And so I can't say hello back. So, especially when I say, hey, I'm driving. Hello, how are you guys doing? So if you guys say hello back, and I don't reciprocate, then that's why. I'm not trying to be stuck up or anything. Thank you so much. I do have prints that are for sale. I just need to get my website back up and running. I changed servers and I never really built the current one, and I need to do that. So with that being said, I do have copies available, but you can also catch me on Reddit and not Reddit, Redbubble. And you can order mugs. I don't have one on me, but I do have mugs with this beautiful Sith acolyte. So go ahead and check that out as well. You can get t-shirts and what have you. Gordon says Stackpole should have listened to Lucas and steered clear of the Clone Wars era. So I believe when he started writing about Clone Wars, I have to take a look at that book. Stackpole, did he write I, Jedi? Correct me if I'm wrong. Let me see here. Let me look. Oh, like it's going to tell me. Like it's going to tell me here. Let's see here. Oh, excuse me. What the heck? Is my internet up? Whoa. Hold on. Yeah, he did. Okay, I thought so, but I wasn't sure. I doubted myself. Okay, so I did not know. So I don't know how breaking this is, and if you guys know this, but I'm going to share it. So I love, whoops, wrong button. I love how us talking about something and then I go to search something, shares something that wasn't shared yet that I'm not privy to just yet. So here it is, Google Books, I, Jedi, the Essential Legends Collection. I don't remember this being. Now, if it was, I just totally just spaced it off. But this is a Google search. This is supposed to be Star Wars I, Jedi, the Essential Legends Collection. So here we go. So with Corran Horn. So here we go. Let me see here. And then, of course, this right here that I'm sharing with you is something that I talked about and have been talking about, how they're changing the inside cover information. Like this right here, Star Wars I, Jedi, a work of fiction, names, places, and indicates either incidents either are products of the author's imagination or are used fictitiously. Any I can't even talk, you guys. Geez, any resemblance to actual events, locales, or persons living or dead is entirely coincidental. So this is something that they've been putting in the Legends collections to say, oh, this shit didn't happen. If anything's brought in, then it's coincidental. So that's one of the things that they have been adding in. Let's see here. So I don't know, when was this like I said, if you guys remember, if this was ever announced, let me know, because it totally just went over my head. And so it just totally went over my head. Usually has a date here for their part, not when it came out, but their production stuff. So let me know in the chat. So here you go, you guys. And it has this stupid thing here. And it takes out dedication and acknowledgments. It takes all of that out of, let me see. So this is basically a book. Can I just get to the very last page? It doesn't say. Anyways, all right. So let me know. I'm going to go ahead and go back to search. I, Jedi, novel by Michael Stackpole. Yeah. Okay. We'll see. We'll see what have come, we'll see. So if it's already been announced and I just totally ignored that, usually I'm pretty privy on all these essential legends that are coming out because I criticize and I critique. I know I said criticize because I do. And I critique the art cover, the cover of the book. So let's see here. I need to get to this here before I read other people's stuff. So Fangirl over 40. Hey, what's up at €5.99. Good evening from Ireland. Our favorite Jedi Master is Qui-Gon Jinn. Well, thank you so much. And maybe you could say he is unconventional, maybe because of the fact and how my hair is just like terrible. I'm like totally judging myself today. He is unconventional due to the fact that he chooses not to sit on the council. He still listens. He still goes through the guidelines and what it is to be a Jedi and all this other stuff. But he does, differ in a sense. So we still have, I'm going to leave this up for about another 10 minutes. So 9:30 my time, I'll take it down, the poll. So thank you so much for the super chat. Greatly appreciated. Now let's see here where I left off at. I don't want to miss anybody's chat, especially if you guys have anything to say. Good timing. You can keep me company for my 14 kilometer run. Okay. All right, Mono, that's what's up. Get your run in. I appreciate that. Listening in while you run. I'll keep you company. Sometimes, like I said, sometimes like casual rage keeps me company when I am working out. So, and then if it gets kind of slow in the topic and stuff, then I'll probably just, not being mean, is I'll press pause and then I'll put on some fast-paced music, like especially if I'm doing cardio and stuff, and then I'll return and listen to the replay so that I can have my full attention to that, especially if it's getting good, but yet I still need something to pump me up. So yeah. Let's see here. So Rodimus Prime's up. Okay. All right. Thought it funny Elon Musk made hint of buying Disney when hanging out with Nielsen Pelt. Haha. I think that I don't take emojis seriously. I really don't. So I'm not putting any weight to that whatsoever. All that is a speculative rumor now, or maybe just teasing. And so I'm not the person that's going to step on anything of any type of hope of something happening. I am a person that needs facts and proof and all this. And then you guys know me. That's how I am. So it's not like I'm being skeptic. It's not like I'm trying to burst anybody's bubbles. If you have hopes that that's what he is going to do, then sure. Good. I'm happy for you. But Me, it's like, he's teasing, he's playing with emotions. Now, how can he can't buy something that's not up for sale, right? So that's the plain truth. He can't buy something that's not up for sale. So Greg hates everything, Lafayette, but he tells the truth. Yes, he does, and I admire that. And like in our private chats that we have for the spacing, we'll share something. I'll share something and I'll just leave it, not say nothing, not say my opinion, but I know exactly what he's gonna do. It's like, and I hope he does. It's like, you never fail, you let me down with what you're gonna say. So yeah, so he's a very interesting character. Greg is a very interesting guy, and I highly respect his fluidity of understanding things and breaking things down and making things interesting, and then his quick humor and stuff. Some days I'm like, I'm so tired, my humor's not even gonna be that quick, and then some days I'm like on top of shit, but he is very entertaining that way. So a lot of respect to that. Even sometimes we don't agree, it's still good, it's still interesting, it's fun. So Jag is here with my Izzy. Oh, okay, so Izzy is something I used to buy my children growing up. It's better than sodas if you want to go to the lesser of the evil, right? And then thinking that Gina Carano is another queen even outside of Star Wars and Follywood. From what I've seen following her on Twitter, she deserved to play a real Star Wars character. I don't think she should go back. I don't think she should even ask in some kind of court standing that they should give her job back. Why would you want to return to a work environment like that? And I think her time is better off elsewhere. I really do. I really, really do. I mean, my opinion's not the popular opinion whatsoever. It's not. And sorry, if she does go back, I think I will lose some respect for her, because she stuck to her morals. She stood her ground on what was going on. And then now she's going to go, and no matter what type of negotiations happen, she's still going to go back in. And I think that if you really have some kind of moral ground, that you wouldn't choose to do that. So that's just me. That's just me. That's how I think. I would never go back into a hostile work environment, especially when they're trying to tell you what to say and do. I mean, all businesses do have some sort of contract to where there's certain things you can and cannot do on your social media pertaining to the company. So that's another thing that we don't know, on her part, that she signed as an employee. And so we'll see all that come down, be revealed, all of that as time goes on, if anything is aired and shown through media. We may not see anything other than maybe what she says on Twitter, and that's fine. But if, like, people are like, oh, I can't wait to see it, like they aired Johnny Depp's, I don't think they're going to air her case in court. I really don't. Disney's a huge corporation. They probably will settle it as quickly as they can. So we'll see. If anything, we'll see. We'll see. And then hit that like button and share the stream out. Yes. Share it out. Share it out. All right. Patrick is here. It's not a universal power. No, it's not. I just always considered Kyber the most suitable crystal for lightsaber blades, with its force resonance as an added bonus. It makes sense that there were other crystals that could would, if not as well. Yeah, so like if you read, that's another thing, because people don't understand crystals for lightsabers and what can and cannot be used. Kyber crystal basically was the only shared mostly in Splinters of the Mind's Eye. And I think doing a video regarding crystals used and how crystals and how all the resources pertaining to crystals, were destroyed by the Empire when they took control of the galaxy. So that's something that needs to be shared on my channel. But yeah, I agree. Like, kyber crystals are unique, and I think that they're a rarity. And I think that the Empire, while I know that the Empire, got rid of a lot of resources, like crystal resources for of the Jedi, when he destroyed and was destroying Jedi archives or collecting them or what have you. And that goes into Corran Horn. I'm trying to get to these comments. We're already in like a half an hour in, which is fine. I don't mind having these conversations with you and kind of veering off. So one more minute, so less than a minute, I'm going to read you guys this again. So, who is your favorite unconventional Jedi? Tion Salusar, who is at 38, and Corran Horn who is at 62. So get your vote in right now. I'm ending the poll in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and it closes at 38 for Tion and 42 for Corn. So thank you guys for participating in that. I just thought I'd do something fun and fun just to get you guys involved. And I see a super chat that come in, so I'll grab that here pretty soon. Let me see. Obi-Wan Ginobili is best Jedi. Used his skills for basketball. If y'all know, you'll know. And then Gordon McDonald says, found odd that Corran thought of cheating on Merrick's with Tion in Jedi. So, yeah, I mean, that was weird, but, and I think that was that before they got married? No, because they got married in X-Wing. That's right, because I remember Booster was so pissed because it was like the spur of the moment marriage, and it was Wedge Antilles that married them. Yeah, so check out my merch at Redbubble, not Reddit. And Gordon says, yes, Stackpole wrote iJedi published. Yeah, I know. I don't know why I was thinking he didn't for whatever reason. But they were 1998. Now you guys remember this. 1998, George was producing Attack or The Phantom Menace. So those authors that are writing do get information on what's going on with the movies, what's going on with the productions at Lucasfilm. So during that time, it was okay for him to write about the Clone Wars era because George was opening that up. He didn't put a lot. He didn't use a lot. He just used like the Corellian, and he like we discussed, he made the Corellian Jedi basically almost their own place, their own entity. They're like a sister academy, I guess you could say, or whatever, or temple to the main one. And we also know, as we read through the Republic and everything, there's a lot of Jedi that were basically like sentinels, and they were scheduled and they were sent out to be in certain sectors of the galaxies and all of that. So, it all expands from there. So I wouldn't say that he wrote without George's permission the Clone Wars. I think because of the fact that George started developing all of that and opened up the PT because he was working on the Phantom Menace, that allowed that he had permission, I guess you could say, to expand a little bit more. Now Zahn, he took some liberties and he kind of regrets that. So if you listen to his interviews, I thank the maker I have first edition hardcover. Let's see here. I'm going to go ahead and grab this right here. So $5 from Melissa Lord. Cheers to you. Hey, Laura, I'm listening while I work. IT problems are the never ending story. Laugh out. So I'll be lurking. All right. I know. I mean, you and another Lorena, you guys are both in IT, and I hear a lot of what you guys go through in that. So kudos to you guys for doing that work. Oh, I already shared that. Checking out OG's community here. So my YouTube community on Twitter, I hardly been posting on there, but I do invite you guys, even if I'm kind of absent from it, keep sharing George Lucas era Star Wars in that community. Ask questions, create conversations, all of that. All of it. All of it. Let's see here. Okay, I interviewed John Jackson Miller last week. Hey. And I said that I didn't like how they changed his pre-Disney books. Whoa, okay. You know what? If you can get me the link or post it, and maybe Soul Assassin repost it so that they can click on it, or give us a name, we can share that link out. I would love to listen to your interview. And I think you said you wanted to interview me at one point, so we'll connect up. I'm sharing my email for my channel. I hardly check it, so I need to go in there and be more dedicated to it. And Lipus Felix, hey, what's up? The usual disclaimer. I don't know what that means, but here we go. Well, it already has an ISMB or ISBM. Yeah. There we go. Let's see here. Smash the like button. Yes. So Tyranazilla says, hello there. I'm on 16 chapters. I'm 16 chapters into the first Darth Bane novel, Quiet and Experience. Yes, it is. Enjoy that. Remember how Corran's adoptive grandpa friend of Jedi hid a ton of Jedi knowledge for Corran by scripting it all in the DNA sequence of his plants in his greenhouse? You know, I have to go back. It's been a while since I read the I Jedi one? So I have to go back. Let me see here. Oh, I have no delusions that that Musk is going to buy it. I thought it was just funny. Yeah, it is funny. And no, I'm not saying you have any delusions. I'm just saying, like, okay, if that's your hope and stuff, cool. There's some things that we have to keep there's some things that we'll latch onto, I guess you could say, to make sense of the situation and hope for better change, I guess you can say. Mine is that completely just pause, like, yeah, you need to sell it because the current owners are not going to do it justice, even after it's been like stopped for 10 years. So new owners stop producing Star Wars for about 10 years. Let it like settle in to help reset and reboot. And then when come back with a reboot, everything that was made under Disney, no longer. Maybe you could put that Legends now. Bring back all material made under George Lucas era, and then figure out how you're going to expand the lore from there. Keep the original content continuity intact. That's what Disney should have done, and that includes the EU. Now, the anti-EU people, Disney shills, will get pissed off at me for saying this. So fucking what? That's original content that was approved and sanctioned by George Lucas himself, or it'd never be published. It would never have come out in novels, games, what have you, nor would it even link up to his movies. But that's just how I see it on how it was produced. The evidence is in the pudding, as they would say. And Dadman Walking 55, another channel member, what's up? Good afternoon. How are you doing? All around Arbiter. Hello, everybody. Hello to you. And let's see here. And I love, okay, so hello, Alora. Yeah, Alora, I have had my name spelled and I'm not making fun of you. I'm just making fun of the situation of how unique my name is and how unique it's spelled. I've had my name be spelled Alora, Alhora, Alorca, Alorna. I mean, so many different ways, and that's one of the more common, better ways of it's being spelled. But it's spelled Alorha, Aloha, with an R before the H. I don't know how my parents came up with that spelling of it, but that's how it is. Fangirl says, having worked for Disney in the 1990s, I agree with Gina in her premise that if she goes back, she gets paid for the slander from KK. Yeah, if she has a case, good. Let her settle with that. Let her, whatever the evidence is from that, let it be worked out. Let there be something that's not going to be any more drama than it needs to, right? She shouldn't return. She should instead have Kathleen Kennedy's publicly apologize to her and the fans. Now, I'm going to say this, but what if it wasn't Kennedy? What if it was Bob Iger? Or what if it was Filoni? We don't know. And I don't like Kennedy, but I'm not going to just make her the one that is responsible. What if it was HR? What if it was though, like every company has like their either techs that monitor for their company the internet and stuff like that, and the employees of the internet and stuff like that. So what if it was person behind in those departments there that reported her and to HR, and then the decision was made there? So just things to think about. Things to think about there. Not trying to defend Kennedy whatsoever. She is the president of the company. But I don't think it's solely just her. I honestly don't. So, and the thing is like, oh, but what if it was people that people that others are putting on a pedestal, like Favreau and Filoni? What if they had something to do with that? Would that change your opinion? Think about it. Just think about that. Okay. So me, I like to spark thoughts and scenarios to really get you to thinking, okay, so think outside of just this narrow thing about it's only Kennedy. Kennedy did this, Kennedy did that. No, she's not fully responsible for a lot of things. So I like I like that iJedi introduced static holograms, yeah, that are like a futuristic Polaroid for photographs. Yes, and I think once you get into Legacy of the Force, they have the holo magazines or holomags or whatever it's called. Holozines. There we go. Holozines, which I have to catch up on my shit, but I pulled out all the stuff that I'm using for my research for the Legacy of the Force expanded lore video that should be coming out on the 13th. I did have a death in the family. A cousin of ours passed away, and her services are this weekend, but we won't be able to go. But so that kind of paused me on some of my getting down and writing everything that I need to include in this video and stuff. But your comment reminded me of the holo zines and stuff. So very similar to the Polaroid kind of futuristic kind of holo images, I guess you could say. So it's very fascinating and very inventive, and that's why I love Star Wars and other franchises like that. All right. Okay, so Corran Horn. We are coming, well, we got 15 minutes, so let's talk about Corran Horn. So Corran Horn, he was introduced by Michael Stackpole. That's his character. George, Corran Horn is to Michael as Luke Skywalker is to George, right? That is his baby, I guess you can say. And it shows. If you've read the X-Wing series, you will understand. And when you read the X-Wing series, so it's basically Wedge's story in a sense, because he's responsible for everything that happens throughout the whole series, right? And even after you break away from the first 4 books, I believe, and get into Wraith, and then also past Wraith, you get into like Starfighters of Adamar and Solo Command and Mercy Kill, all of that. It deals with Wedge and his group of fighters, right? But the first 4, Corran is basically the secondary character to Wedge. So he sets him up as one of the main, as a new character, and then we see Corran Horn, throughout the lore after. He becomes one of the significant masters, just like Kip Duran does, just like Kyle Katarn. Kyle Katarn, came out I think he came out before. Yeah, he came out like in 1996 or earlier. And he is another beloved character. I think Kyle Katarn is more beloved than Corran Horn, and rightfully so. I think his character wasn't so in your face in a sense, because I think Corran Horn is a kind of character that's kind of in your face. Boom, he needs to be kind of like Luke Skywalker, and I love Corran Horn, but I do see those faulties in Michael Stackpole and how he writes him. So very interesting. So let me see what you guys are having to say about this. Stackpole got the timeline for Clone Wars and Jedi Purge way off, and that's the thing. That's like I said, George wasn't fully done developing, but it started to begin to develop. So let's see here. Finally, YouTube is showing me the chat, and so hello, hi Diddly Squat. And I think with Stackpole and even Zahn, they both had the same time frame, basically. So that's one disconnect there. And yeah, I'm not trying to say on you or nothing. That's not the case. But I think that thinking about the whole situation, it's not just Kennedy. But of course, she is the president, so she's going to get, any leader of a company is going to get everything tossed and thrown at you because you allowed that shit to happen, right? You allowed that shit to happen. Hey, OOG gets her name mixed up, huh? My last name been giving people problems since I was a kid. Not many people can Spanish words. My last name is actually a Filipino last name because my paternal grandfather and my and of course, so it's Eala, Eala. So imagine that. Eala. And then when Spain went in and started colonizing the Philippines as well, when they started documenting, taking census of the Filipinos, of the Philippines and stuff, my family, we're not Tagalog, we're Ilocano. And we are from the very northern region of the Philippines. And so we're Ilocano from the very northern region. So when they started taking census and started like, I guess you could say naming and taking census of and stuff, like once you're at the very tip of the Philippines, a lot of last names are, with A and all of that. So not saying that my last name is a Spanish last name. It's just how we were documented. So Eala. It could sound like Ayala, but it's Eala. So that's a little bit of history of me. My last name now is different, just by a few letter changes, and that's it. So no, I did not plan it that way, but I get it. So my first and last name growing up has always been butchered. So always been butchered. So a little bit of history. Yeah, my last name, Filipino last name, because I am also Filipino. So there you go. A little bit of this, a little bit of that. Okay, I like to spark thoughts. Let's see here. And then here we go. Hail to the lore. Hell yeah. Hail yes. Much love and much respect. Yes, of course. And that's what we're here about. And Rodimus says, what happened between you and Orange Hat? You had a argument with him and then he blocked as well. What was argument? I'm not going to get into that. It's long been since it happened that I just totally let it go. And we'll just leave it at that. That's cool about your Filipino heritage. My father and second great uncle were stationed there in their time in the U.S. Navy. That's pretty cool. All right. So Corran Horn. So how many of you guys have read about Corran Horn? And, we can get into, yes, as we got closer to George opening up the PT for authors, there was still some timeline confusion and dates and stuff, because I believe at one point it was confirmed it was going to be a certain time frame, and then George changed it up. He confirmed, yes, it's going to be at this time, and then he changed it up. So, and I think he needed to change it up because he didn't realize that there needs to be a 19-year gap between the birth of the twins and Yavin. And I think that was the disconnect. George confirmed a certain date, realized maybe with his continuity keepers, realized that the date was wrong, and then so he corrected it. He course corrected it. But by then, some novels were already either near publishing or published already. And that happens. And that doesn't mean that George is like, oh, I'm going to retcon this because I don't want it to be canon. That's not the case. People use that as, oh, well, George went back because he didn't care. He didn't like it. And so he just went and screwed everything up. So it wouldn't be canon. I've had people tell me that. And that's not the case. Planning something as big as Star Wars franchise can have some hiccups. Obviously, it does, and it doesn't mean it's not canon. It doesn't mean that that it can't be resolved either. So it stays canon, which it did. I think at one point when I was researching the Horn lineage and the Halcyon lineage in Star Wars, I was like, I need to do a video on this, and I since then dropped it. And now that we're talking about Corran Horn, and Gordon has had made some good points in there, it probably needs to be revisited some way, somehow, and then I can bring up that conversation about George deciding to, or the correction of the timeline, which then messed up some of the timeline for when Zahn did it and when others did it. So yeah. And yes, you found it. There you go. Or her YouTube. Yes, there you go. Let me see here. That's cool about your I already read that. All right. So those of you, how many of you guys have read X-Wing series? Some of you guys may not even have read iJedi yet. But X-Wing series is one of the most popular series ever that's been done. And I like to say it's not an anti-Jedi series, because there's a lot of people are like, I want to read about Star Wars, but with not really any Jedi in there. You're never going to have, it's in Star Wars, you're never going to have a series that does not mention or include the Jedi some way, somehow, or even the Force, because that's exactly what Star Wars is about. Now, are you going to have some that doesn't have Luke in it? More than likely. Are you, is there going to be talks about the Jedi? Probably, because it's Star Wars. Hey there, Jim the Despot. How are you doing? Another channel member. Thank you for dropping in. And but when you read about Corran, of course, and we're going to get into this here. So this is going to be my segue. It's going to be my segue into it, since we're coming up on the hour for the first Cringe Factor. When you read and you get to know more about Wedge, of course, I mean, we start seeing his interest for Ayala. We get to see his first crush, his first interest, and how he's like, I've never been with a woman in a while because I'm so career oriented. And when he is, making his bargain with the Twi'leks, and how they have the ceremonial dance and stuff, and he is offered to have his private dance. He's like, should I go? I'm feeling something, so it's very, very fun to read. It's not what you would call PG, or it's not G-rated. It's PG, maybe close to R in some situations, like even with Wedge and his contemplating on how he's feeling. It's very interesting with that. And even with Corran Horn and how women like him, I guess you could say. But it's a fun read. And I agree, Ice 6, Wedge is such a fun character in the lore. He is a movie character. He is a secondary movie character, but he really takes off in the EU with getting to know him and his development, what happened to him, how he lost his family, how he became a smuggler for the small parts, how then later on, like all the way into Legacy of the Force era, how he decides to side with Corellia because of how the Galactic Alliance treats him and stuff. So there's a lot of shit going on, and it's a wonderful read. And that goes also with Corran Horn and also with Kip Duran. I mean, seriously, I mean, all these characters that were made, developed, I guess you could say, for the lore, they do such a good job expanding on them, giving them history, and it's fascinating to read. Like, just even to pin one character down and read about, just explore their character, where they came from, if their birth world and their birth date was given, and all of that. And so going back to Corran Horn, they Michael wanted him to be connected back to the Order some way, somehow, like Luke was, right? That's obvious. That's like in your face fucking obvious, right? And but also wanted to make him uniquely different in the same aspect. And so him not having telekinesis is one way of making him different. Like Tion Celusar that we had the pull on. She's not as strong in her force capabilities, but she's strong enough to qualify as a Jedi to be trained. And she became invaluable to Luke as a teacher, as a historian. And I don't have it with me here, but the Jedi versus Sith book, source book, is basically her comprising history of the Jedi, of Force users, of the Sith, and even the history of the Skywalkers, all of that pertaining to the galaxy, and putting together in a historical timeline, which is a very fun read. So that Jedi versus Sith, let me go ahead and grab it because I know exactly where it's at. So I'm going to go grab it. At least I remember where it's at. Let me see here. I'm looking for it right now in... Oh, here we go. I got it. I'm going to turn off my little heater because now I'm hot. Feeling hot. All right. So, let's see here. All right. So, this right here is a great source book to learn more about the Force, the Essential Guide to the Force. But it is also historical timeline that Tion Celusar has comprised. And she has information about when Leia thinks about losing Anakin, and it's so interesting to read. It's like the history of the Force in the galaxy. And I highly recommend this to add to your collection. So, yeah. So Tion, like I said, you have the little addendums of Tion when she's putting it together, and she has all this little notes here and there talking about some gaps not being able to fill in some gaps because of how the emperor destroyed some, documents and stuff like that. So I highly recommend this. And Soul Assassin, if you want to look on thriftbook.com and see if there's any of the Jedi versus Sith on sale on that site, if you could share that link, there might possibly be. Let's see here. Twi'leks and their dances. Just like Shakira, them hips don't lie. Yeah, right? The hips don't lie. Correct me if I'm wrong, Alora. But are those 5 tier of canon under George? That would be G, T, C, S, N, and in order, in that order of importance. Now that I did a video on this, and I think I did a whole video on this, or it might have been on CAF chat. But I did discuss this, and my research and from what I comprised is that this hierarchy of canon is basically an in-house way of keeping the lore, on what is more important. Like the foundation is George G. canon or the movie canon. T was only given because Dave Filoni bitched about his Clone Wars being being a part of E or C canon, sorry. It's funny that the Clone Wars movie is not a part of G canon. There you go. So, but it's just an in-house importance of just keeping where the lore was made. So you have the movie lore that's in G canon. You have the novel lore, which is in C canon. Then you have secondary canon, which is mainly the games, because how you play the game isn't how the continuity or the canon of it happened. And then N canon, which is non-canon, which is infinities and stuff. So that's more of an in-house. I really don't think that they should have advertised this out to the public like they did, because and that's when this canon wars began. And I think that fans just knowing that everything is canon unless marked infinities is all we needed to know. Honestly, all we needed to know. So Rodimus says, I'm Latino, so no. The language Spanish and Portuguese, so Doku's name Portuguese means means ass. So in Brazil, his name was changed. I didn't even think about that. That's hilarious. I thank you for sharing that. The more you know. All right. I've got that book. I love it. Very informative. Correct. I need to get that book eventually. Yes, I highly recommend. AB, you'll get better deals on that book. Maybe. I mean, Thrift Book does have some great deals on these books too. I highly recommend a lot from Thrift Book, because like if you're looking to build like the young readers, I wish I had earrings on, but if you're looking to build the young readers or young adults Star Wars novels like the Jedi Apprentice or Young Jedi Knights, then Thrift Book's the way to go, because I think they're $3 each on that site. So check it out and build your collection. Get them before they're completely sold out, because they're not being republished at all. So get them while they're hot. Get them while they're hot. In canon is Disney. Laugh out loud. And let's see here. Zim, me too. Yeah. And I was referring to Weird AI Song. Oh, all right. So with that being said, let's get into our first cringe factor, which is going to get into Corran Horn, which is going to get into more of a conversation of what I have to say. I did break this down on Twitter. So if you follow me on Twitter, feel free to check that out. You might have to scroll down. If not, don't need to, because we're talking about it here. But I did put it on Twitter as well. And maybe I'll bring that up. I don't know. We'll see. Because in reading my points there, it'd be a lot easier than like rethinking them. But who knows? And there you go. So with that being said, let's go ahead and start segue into what we need to discuss.
I had fought the worst of all wars and witnessed the redemption of evil. I have seen balance restored to the Force. But order can turn to chaos, as it did when I was born. Now, with my loved ones and my loyal allies, I face a new challenge unlike any before. And I'm not sure if this time we can win.
Star Wars Vector Prime by R.A. Salvatore, the first novel of the new Jedi Order.
So uncivilized.
All right. So this time it's a CBR that has qualified for Cringe Factor. So just imagine that. So just imagine that. CBR. It's usually Screen Rant, but both of them can take the cake, I guess you could say. And so here we go. So we have this going on here. So buckle in, grab, let me see here, wrong one. Grab your drinks, go ahead and refill if you need to. This is going to get fun here. So Star Wars Legends original Gary Stu might make fans reconsider Rey. What do you guys think about that? What do you think about that? Do you think that, and of course this image is of Corran Horn here, of Corran Horn. Now, do you think he is a Mary Sue or Gary Stu? And would this really make you rethink Rey as a Mary Sue? So here we go. I almost spilled the coffee all over me. So Star Wars Legends introduced X-Wing pilot Jedi Master Corran Horn, who was celebrated by fans. So why didn't Rey Skywalker, really, Rey Palpatine, you mean, or just Rey because she's not a Skywalker, get the same treatment? So Star Wars Legends introduced X-Wing pilot Jedi Master Corran Horn, who was celebrated by fans. Well, first of all, he's not poorly written. And that was one of the main factors, is she is poorly written. So this is by David Harth. And I do have a bit of controversial information about Mr. David Harth. And I'll show you who he took a picture with. So let's check this out. So this is David Harth, and guess who has a picture with? So let's just, think about that for a sec or two. But we are going to get into this article and then the controversy behind that. So when this was first presented to me, I was like, I'm going to look into David Harth. And so I did, and I uncovered some bullshit. And he does insult fans' intelligence in this. And then my alarm wants to come up here, so stop it. All right, so let's get into this. Okay, scroll down. There we go. So now there are plenty of valid reasons to call out the character of Rey, but one that has been used time and time again is that she is a Mary Sue, a term that originated from fanfic circles. A Mary Sue is an author's self-insert who is introduced into a familiar universe to become the favorite of beloved characters, is given amazing powers, wealth, beauty, and always succeeds no matter what. Now, with that being said, you guys, was Corran Horn, did he always succeed? Was he beautiful, wealthy, powerful? Think about it. Because they're using him and how he was written to say, why are you treating him this way and celebrating him, but not her? So this whataboutism going on. Let me see here. There we go. This whataboutism going on. So what do you think? As we get in, we barely get into this article. What do you think about this? Oh, gods by the Mandalore, save me, these people. Silent Bob. Ugh. There we go. So let's get into this some more here. And these fans who hate Rey like to say they hated Mary Sue's, saying they represented shoddy writing. These fans constantly talk about going back to the past of Star Wars and how everything from back then was so much better, citing the prequel and Star Wars, EU, which he's calling Legend. So think about that. Is this more of a hit piece on fans and the original content, more than trying to prove that Rey isn't a Mary Sue and that there was plenty of Mary Sue's written in the EU? Think about it. All right, let's move on. These fans constantly talk about how much better Legends or EU characters are and how well written they are. I think we kind of discussed how Corran Horn has some moments, right? We just got done discussing that. And I think I've been in plenty of conversations where there's some characters I didn't like how they were written and stuff before. And that's EU. And I think we've even discussed how the EU, there's some things that we all can agree on that we didn't like. And then sometimes there's a lot of instances where I like something and someone else doesn't. Like the conversation about Post New Jedi Order and how the direction Jason Solo was taken. There's people who don't like that. So tell me again how we just, put the EU on a pedestal that it's way better. Now, continuity-wise, hell yeah, it's way better. Even with the discussion of like how the dates for the PT era and the Clone Wars, there was a misstep with that. And there probably won't be a misstep now because obviously the timeline is established. Back then, they were still establishing the timeline. and things got switched, but then things got corrected. Now, would have Corran Horn's family historical dates have been corrected? We never know because they haven't been. They just kind of like just say brush it off like, oh well, maybe the dates were just different because of blah 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 scenario, whatever. So I'm not trying to make up any excuses for the continuity issue on that. So massively popular Legends EU characters are arguably a bigger Gary Stu than Rey is a Mary Sue Jedi Master X-Wing pilot Corran Horn. So here we go. We go into the Corn Bash. The Corn Bash. That sounds funny. So we have him right here. Now, first of all, didn't he started getting training before he fully used the Force? There's a lot of it's known Force users have innate instinctual use of the Force, and Luke and Anakin were the example. George set that up for this innate use of the Force without training, and that's like instincts and hunches and little nuances like that. So Corran Horn stands among Legends or EU's greatest heroes. Corran was a co-main character of the first X-Wing books, Rogue Squadron, Wedge, Gamble, blah, 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 all written by Michael Stackpole, with Wedge until he's filling the role of the book's other lead. So he was the main lead. Corran Horn was the second one for the 4 books, not for the whole series whatsoever. Corran's place as the star of these books was never doubt. And Gary Stu's tendencies started to show right away. So here we go, you guys. Corran was the best pilot in the squadron. Everyone loved him, bearing characters like the villains to authority figures outside of Rogue Squadron's chain of command who found him reckless and brash at time. So let's highlight this. So first of all, in the beginning, we already find out that Wedge is very severely annoyed by Corran's pride. Corran knows he's a good pilot because he has been a pilot before he became a part of Rogue Squadron. In fact, he brings his X-Wing into the fold. The X-Wing that he brings in is his own X-Wing. So he has experience. But does he have experience with communicating and coexisting with the other squadron? No, because he's used to being by himself, working for himself. And that was his greatest flaw there, was having to be able to work with others. And Wedge has reprimanded him time and time again for that. And it's known in that. So if you read their X-Wing series, you'd know exactly what I'm talking about. Now, the barring characters like the villains and authority figures outside of Rogue Squadron chain of command who found him reckless and brash at times. Well, Wedge found him brash, so that's not outside of the Rogue Squadron's chain of command. And let's see here. What else? Let's go on. 2 different women found him attractive. His beautiful fellow pilot, Eurydice Delaret. She only was doing that because she was a fucking spy. And that's it. That's all. She was putting on an act. Who turned out to be an Imperial spy, and Merrick Tarek, a smuggler whose father and Hal Horn were arch nemesis. Yeah. And Hal Horn, or Merrick's father, did not fucking like him whatsoever. So how is he a Gary Stu when there's a lot of people who were cautious of him, didn't like his pride, he was reprimanded for his actions, and he also wasn't liked by a love interest father. How is that a Gary Stu? You tell me, you guys. You tell me in the chat. Let me see what you guys are saying here, because everybody's gonna have something, and there might be a point that I never made. And that's it. Kark on him. Is every son of Baron Fell's clones a Fell? What is every son of Baron Fell's clones a Fell? I don't get what you're saying. Every son? Oh, you mean that little nest that was in the Thrawn trilogy that was discovered? No, in the Town of Thrawn. They were from Fell. So I mean, if they had the last name Fell, I don't know. That was never really fully alluded on. The EU treated people as people with flaws, struggles, and many things to overcome. Correct. And let's see, I've never read iJedi, so I can't give an opinion, but I'm pretty any character from the EU is better than anybody from the sequel tree. Smash the like button. I agree. And let's see here. Dadman says, had to step away back now. Well, you're back for Cringe Factor. Hold on to your pants, sir. Two girls like a guy, Gary Stu, right? I mean, if you're going to bitch and complain about a character having a female like them, then I guess Han Solo is a Gary Stu because, you know, Leia liked Han more than Luke. That was apparent. And they had their back and forth, and she flirted with him, whether it was harsh or not, whether it was, you know, so I guess Han's a Gary Stu in this guy's opinion. I don't know. And let's see here. Welcome back, Tranazilla. Welcome back. Yes. So let's get back into this. In the first book, Corran's boldness and skills as a pilot allowed Rogue Squadron to succeed in their mission. First of all, he was already reprimanded from the simulator mission that they did to practice, because there's a flight simulator that they practiced together. And like I said, he wasn't, and even in this mission, he wasn't working with the squadron as a whole. He took some liberties and stuff. And so he got reprimanded. I guess this guy failed to realize that, right? With Corran making an amazing shot that would have been impossible for anyone else. Well, let's see here. Force sensitive, you know, kind of like Luke, you know, making shots at Wampa rats when he was growing up and, you know, shooting them in Beggar's Canyon. You know, so I mean, that's already established that, you know, innate force abilities do help you enhance your abilities to, you know, target things and shoot things and stuff, I guess you can say. But hey, what do I know, right? I mean, it's already been proven, but, you know, I don't think this guy has ever watched and read anything fucking Star Wars. I think he got all of this off of Wikipedia, but that's just my opinion. So, this gave Corran major Luke Skywalker vibes. Oh, you think? Maybe because the lore was established under Luke that innate force abilities can help one achieve that. And then we also see that with, you know, Anakin. But, you know, what do I know? Something which would turn out to be even more apparent in the X-Wing novels as the X-Wing novels progressed. It was soon revealed that Corran was a Force user. No shit. The scion of Nisha Halcyon, a Corellian Jedi and the true father of Horn. Only the most important Star Wars characters, Force users. Okay, let me read that again because that didn't make sense to me. Only the most important Star Wars characters are Force users. No, because Wedge Antilles is a motherfucking, you know, important Star Wars character, and so is Han Solo, and they're not Force users, dude. And Corran was being groomed for bigger and better things. Keyword groomed. Now that doesn't say much, does it? All right, so let's get into this. Come on, scroll. There we go. I don't think this article wants me to read it. I need to get rid of this ad. Let me click out of it. There we go. Okay, let's move on here. I'm going to see what you guys are saying, if you guys are saying anything here. This off topic, but the reason why Anakin and Padme romance is awkward, it's for two reasons. First, Anakin is supposed to be awkward. Exactly. I pointed out so many times. And George Lucas is going for a Shakespearean type of dialogue. Right. I agree. Let's see here. Popped in to say hello. Hi, well, hello, Star Wars Scron. I will be catching the replay. Have a great day, everyone. Yeah, you're going to like this. You're going to like this. Okay. Excuse me. Let me not get choked up. Okay, look. All right. Okay, this is the right paragraph here. Okay, Horn would play a crucial role in freeing Coruscant with Rogue Squadron. Well, Rogue Squadron, in general, all played a crucial role. And that was being proven too by, the trial of Taiko Salchu when they questioned what was going on and how would Corran Horn be, how would the Imperial Remnant Aisani Isard know what was going on with the mission regarding, the liberation of Coruscant, right? So, but of course, they're not going to bring that up. So, and director of Imperial Intelligence, Aisani Isard, she would target Corran specifically because he was the most dangerous member of a rogue squadron. Oh, Kirtan Lore comes to mind. Kirtan is the one that basically started targeting him, and she followed suit because of who Horn is and who Horn's father is. Not because he's like the best pilot ever, because every single one of those pilots on Rogue Squadron are very fucking good pilots, or they wouldn't be there, right? Because Rogue Squadron is the most feared and most popular, and as a pilot, if that's where you want to be, that's the target. You want to be on Rogue Squadron because how popular and how deadly they are. So there we go. And so Kirtan Lore was Corran's nemesis. And he's the one that was giving intelligence to Aisani Isard and also helping with the events going on in Coruscant, like the Krytos virus and all this other stuff. And so that's a bit of background why, Corran Horn was captured and stuff, because Kirtan is the one that's responsible for that. It wasn't because he's this most popular character, because then, Taiko Salchu was captured. He was a sleeper, and then he was released because they couldn't purge information from him, or even mind control him. So do we got to say that, Taiko Salchu is a Gary Stu too? Because that's exactly what was going on with him too. And so was he targeted too because he was the most important Rogue Squadron person? So we're going to get into some more. So this is another example of his Gary Seuss status, as he was specifically targeted as opposed to the hero of the rebellion. So he was, after he was supposedly killed, they didn't know, Rogue and, New Republic intelligence didn't know he was captured. They thought he died, right? So of course he was be considered hero of I wouldn't say the rebellion, but hero, and I got to read that again, sorry, but hero of the New Republic. Now, the hero of the rebellion, this David is saying, or Hearth is saying, that Wedge should have been targeted because he is the hero of the rebellion. Now, if that was the case, then we wouldn't have a Rogue Squadron. And Wedge doesn't have to be someone targeted. It doesn't have to be this movie character all the time. And it doesn't mean that Corran Horn is a Gary Stu because Wedge Antilles wasn't sought out. Would that have been a trophy of a catch for Aisani? Probably. I mean, her mission initially was to destroy the whole Rogue Squadron as a whole. And capturing individuals and releasing them as their minions, I guess you can say, is another way of destroying them. I mean, they tried to do that with Taiko. They did that with Ayala's husband, and he's not a part of Rogue Squadron. So there you go. But he played as a tool for destroying the New Republic, or trying to, but it didn't happen. So Corran Horn would escape from a prison that no one else had escaped from before, and then called on his skills as the best pilot and soldier to save the day with a lightsaber for the first time. Now, this is a loaded one right here. Very much a loaded one right here. So Corran Horn did escape, and it was very impossible for them to escape. And the reason why Corran Horn escaped is because he used his investigative training to figure out how to escape. Now, does he have skills that maybe Jan Dodonna doesn't have? Yes, He does. Does it make him a Gary Stu for using them? No, it doesn't. He didn't use his skills as the best pilot to figure out how to escape either. He uses his skills as a Corrsec investigator. And then, yes, he found a hidden archive of Jedi artifacts that the Emperor collected. And he did find information about the Clone Wars Jedi that was collected there, including his ancestor or his grandpa or great-grandpa. But did he use a lightsaber to save the day? No, he didn't. It helped him in a situation when he was when he was kind of, I guess you could say, discovered when they were searching for him. But no, he didn't use a lightsaber for the first time to save the day. I think this is something that this idiot is comprising just to make him sound like a Gary Stu. So let me see what you guys have to say. Trust me, watch Romeo and Juliet movie from, yeah, I love that what you're adding that. Thank you so much. So everybody here, like if you're interested in learning more about George's intentions of script and stuff, and I think that there was a video shared with me, and I think it might have been from Soul Assassin, that was regarding how George is focused on the script and its directions and why he wrote it the way he did. Diddley Squat says, sorry, but one thing is having above average perceptions because of latent force powers, and another is the ability to using active force powers at will without knowledge of or training. Correct. Rogue Squadron is greater than Rogue One. I agree. And thank you, Rodimus Prime, for sharing all of this too. Let's get back to the article. Jedi followed Corran in the days after the Thrawn trilogy. So days after, I don't know how far after it's been, but yeah. And we kind of see that this day that David Harth is very hyperbolic, very exaggerated with his wording here. Kind of like a drama queen, but I'm not going there. So, and it is another example of Corran being a Gary Stu. This book followed Corran as he tried to save his wife from the former Imperial turned pirate queen while also training as a Jedi. Corran showed his first major weakness. Oh, okay, so he's a Gary Stu, but then he also showed his first major weakness. I thought Gary Stu's, Mary Sue's didn't have really any major weaknesses, because then that kind of like deflates the whole, arc of Gary Stu, Mary Sue. But his lack of telekinetic powers, but was automatically be given a counterweight for that disadvantage, as he could absorb energy through the force to boost his powers and use telekinesis. No, that ability that he discovered did not help him use telekinesis. It did not. It was more of a forced persuasion of people seeing something that wasn't there. He did not use telekinesis whatsoever. In fact, that arc of him being not having the telekinetic power as a Jedi was pretty consistent throughout the fucking lore. You get into other stories that he's in, and even when he has his kids, well, not him, but you know what I mean. Even when his kids come into play, his son Corran Horn inherited his non-telekinetic powers. And so there you go. The book and game saw Corran posing as a Jedi while pretending to be a pilot for the pirates and attacking their base. So first of all, note that Corran goes in to have training. And through this training, he discovers he doesn't have telekinesis, but has other abilities. And Luke, kind of questioned these abilities, on how they could be used, how they can, implicate one into the dark side, and being cautious about using these powers. And so there's a lot more, I guess you could say, responsibility in how he needs to train and how he needs to use these abilities. Doesn't mean Gary Stu. Just means that he went through training and discovered his abilities. That's all it fucking means. Compared to Rey, who didn't have fucking training whatsoever. and was able just to do anything and everything just because. Now, innate, sensibility, I give her that, like, like hunches and stuff like that, because that's already established. Like, non-trained force users have those innate abilities. That's fine. But to go on and just continue to be good and good and good and use the force without being trained and all this other stuff, that's fucking bullshit. Because it's already established that one needs training, and Corran Horn went in to have training. Even though he left, he had training and discovered his abilities, discovered how to use them, and then also was given guidance by Luke on how he should use them. Okay, so, and then he goes in and uses his abilities as an investigator to go undercover to find his wife. That is not a Gary Stu thing either, because it's already wrapping around his Corsac training. Okay, so let's move on. Let me see what you guys have to say. Apparently, Corran's Jedi ancestors also couldn't use telekinesis. And let's see here. Yeah, all right. Yeah, and I agree. It's like something like inheritance. It's inheritance too. Like the force can be, like your force abilities can be inherited. And it could skip generations. Sorry, I'm moving my mic around here, so if you hear a little bit of hustle bustle, that's me. And or you could be the first force user in your family's history and be the only. So that's what makes the force a mystery. So even with midichlorians, and we know, knowing that midichlorians is the one that makes one able to harness and use the force, you need to have training, but it's not always, an inherited ability, and also can skip generations as well. So let's see here. There's also to say that JJ stated that Dre was designed to be Mary Sue. He wanted her to be good without training. If you could find that quote, like during the stream, if possible, please bring it to me. If not, then email it to me, or if we're on Twitter, to following each other or on Twitter, then DM it to me. Corran left the Jedi Academy before finishing his training and was still able to pull off high-level force feats involving mind control, illusion casting. So the illusion casting is the thing that he discovered he can do under Luke. He was there training. He developed his use of the force through training, which then also includes him being able to continue training on his own, which Luke was like the pillar of that, because look at him. He lost Obi-Wan Kenobi. He still needed to train before he even got over to Yoda. So what was left to him by Obi-Wan, he continued training on his own. It's not like once you leave the academy, you stop training and using the force, right? So right there doesn't grant him as a Gary Stu, because he still had fucking training. Corran's time as a pirate pilot also saw Pirate Queen taking a liking to him, both as a pilot and a potential lover. Doesn't mean he's a Gary Stu, and he used that to the advantage. I think, and I haven't read iJedi in a while. Now I'm curious. I might go back and listen to it, at least on Audible or maybe on YouTube. But I think it's noted that she had taken interest in a lot of people, a lot of men coming in and out of her organization. I'm not trying to say she's a whore, but maybe she is. I don't know. But anyways, we're not going there. So I also, let's see here, which is yet another Gary Stu characteristic. No, it's not. Corran would make more appearances in. So if you want to say that, is Lando Calrissian a Gary Stu then? Because I'm pretty sure there's a lot of women that probably were attracted to him. Doesn't mean he's a Gary Stu. So Corran Horn would make appearances in post Return of the Jedi Star Wars stories and kept showing off Gary Stu tendencies. Okay, so here we go. So he kept on showing, even though, like, if you've read about his development, that leading, like, him growing and his story continuing into like New Jedi Order and all this other stuff, he has gone through growth. That's not a Gary growth is not a Gary Stu's tendencies whatsoever. He's done the training. He's discovered he's a Force user. He has training in Corsac as an investigator, which he's shared time and time again and used time and time again to help situations, like to find his wife, to and even he's been wrong about his own his own information that he comprised at times. And that's with Tycho Selchu. That's an example of him not being a Gary Stu. He's an investigator and still got that shit wrong. But here we go. He's a Gary Stu, and like he continued to be a Gary Stu because, he never had character growth. It's just all Gary Stu shit. Yuuzhan Vong, Commander Shidao Shai, developed a personal vendetta with Corran Horn. So who here has read the New Jedi Order series and still remembers, or maybe it's still fresh in your head, or you remember this situation that he was between him and Shidao Shai and Ithor? That whole situation. So if you guys remember, let me know. Let me see here. At OG, it's like saying that you stopped learning after you graduate college, right? And Abu Nas, what's up? Okay, so if you guys haven't seen it, I did an exiting interview with him. So after this, if you haven't caught it, you need to go catch it. It was fun as hell. I mean, you know how I get with him sometimes. And so I really, really tore into him in a sense, fun humor. And we had a great conversation, and I really highly recommend you guys checking out that if you have not. So let's see here. And there's also that, okay, yeah. So like Diddly Squat, if you can get that to me, that would be awesome. So I haven't read it here, but I was going on and boasting about our conversation, his exit interview. Whether you use hardcore language to provide context to what you're talking about, it makes me my whole body tingle. Please keep that shit up. Yeah. You know me. I mean, I've never been a prim and proper. I've always been blunt with what I say. And some people take it like, oh, you're always mad, or you're always this. No, I'm just blunt and I'm honest. And if you know me, I like astrology. And so I have a lot of fire in my natal chart, I guess you can say. But as a person, I'm a very fiery person. And I know Soul Assassin knows this very well. I mean, he coined me a bully because I'm so fiery. Bullying against the shills. But anyways, yeah, I don't hold back. If I need to say something and it comes out the way it does, then it does. I'm not apologizing for it either. But let's get back to CBR's article here with David Harth. And I can't wait to show you guys this guy's controversy and how I think, I think all of these sites here do have under the table stuff going on with Disney, whether it's for their, for all their franchises and stuff. And I wholeheartedly believe that they're helping change the way fans perceive George Lucas' era of Star Wars. So, and I don't think it's a conspiracy theory. I think that's truly what it is. And they don't need to fully reboot George's lore yet because he's still alive, but they can change how people view it. And this is another example. So getting into Shidao Shai, New Jedi Order, Ithor, all of that. So Shidao Shai, I can't even say that fucking name, but anyways, developed a personal vendetta with Corran and challenged him to a duel, despite Luke Skywalker also being there. Somehow Corran rated higher than the Jedi Grandmaster. This had nothing to do with motherfucking Luke Skywalker. And I say that in such a kind way. Why? because the duel has to do, and this challenge has to do with what happened before he asked for this challenge with Corran Horn. Now, Corran and another Jedi, and I don't remember the other Jedi's name, they were collecting remains of Vong. Vong do bury their people, and so two their warriors and stuff on the site in the area where they were defeated or they were killed. And it's an honor thing. You know, the Vong have these honor codes and stuff on top, you know, for their warriors and stuff. And that even goes into body mutilation. But we're not going to go into that. And they were collecting bones. They did not, the Vong, Shadow Shy, and them did not care for that. They had confronted Corran and the other Jedi. They were escaping. I think Corran did take a few hits from the Vong. I don't know if it's from their Impy staff or something. I don't remember. Like I said, it's like I know of the situation and what happened. I just the little minor details I'm not recalling, and that's fine. And so Corran Horn, if he was a Gary Stu, he wouldn't have been carried out near death by another Jedi. And they were like crossing over those what are they called? Someone in the chat, but they're the beetle bombs. I forgot what they're called, but that sounds interesting. Beetle bombs. But they were needing to clear. They were needing to escape, and they started sending out those bombs. And so Corran couldn't use telekinesis, and he was just near death too from his battle, from his confrontation and stuff like that. And so the other Jedi used telekinesis to help carry him out, as well as help himself get through that little bit of obstacle going on. And, you know, both of them end up being, I think, in the back to tank and stuff. So if he was a Gary Stu, he would have just gone through that just easily without any problem. But what I'm getting to is, after all of this happened, and Telegos Akla, or whatever his name is, wanted to go in and be an ambassador and try to talk with and establish peace with the Vong, and went to Shiro Shai. And they accepted him in at first, but then they end up killing him. But they end up taking his body and destructing the body, but then also putting it back together, the bones back together, wrapped in gold or something like that. And they sent that to Corran with a challenge, and with the Uglis masker for him to read, listen, and view the message as well. And so Shiro Shai challenged him, and I think this is where they were on Ithor too, and they discovered that the trees on Ithor, the Vong's crab armor, was allergic to the pollen or something in those plants. And so the challenge to go to Ithor, have a rematch, and there were stipulations with that. And I know I'm going a little long here on this, but that's okay. And they did their bargaining, they did their reasoning and stuff. And then after Corran Horn defeated Shiro Shai, the Vong basically reneged on the promise of not destroying Ithor, and they end up destroying Ithor anyways. And so Corran went and basically, in his self-imposed exile, stepped away from the Jedi a little bit, because he felt that his presence wouldn't help Luke in the Order at the time, and he stepped away. So that's not a Gary Stu situation whatsoever. Cornholio, I see that. I'm collecting. I'll try to email the stuff. Okay, thank you so much. Cornholio and Beavis and Butthead fans in the chat. I got that. Laugh out. This show is one of the best ever. Well, you're welcome. OG Bully Elitist. I'm not changing my name to Bully Elitist, though. I'm the EU queen. You're still more polite than retroblasting. I'm probably sure I am. I'm Aquarius. Okay, cool. Awesome. So your air, fire and air are compatible, in a sense that so let's see here. You're a Leo. It's expected. Well, I'm a Leo and a Sagittarius. So there you go. that's, and then I have a lot of fire in my, and Sagittarius is fire as well. But anyways, let's move on here. This is going to be a long one. I think we're going to go over on CAF chat. Corran Horn was always a solid B-list player in the events of Star Wars Legends, a step under the main heroes of the Skywalker solo clan. However, Corran, I think the EU established that these guys weren't, you know, the importance wasn't solely on the Skywalker solo clan, that these so-called secondary or B-list players also contributed a lot to the events in the galaxy. So this is a way of saying Corran Horn isn't that important as these guys here, and he's a Gary Stu, blah 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 blah. Like, he's downplaying Corran Horn's significance, as well as like Kyle Katarn and all of them. However, Corran also one of the more important secondary characters in Legends or EU, while he played a bigger role in events during the earliest days of the post-Endor transformation from the Rebel Alliance to the New Republic, he still ended up showing up in latter day stories. Yeah, so has every other fucking character established in the Star Wars lore, like Kip Duran, you know, from Jedi Academy, like Kyle Katarn from Dark Forces and the games as well. Who else? Like Lando Calrissian, who was a secondary character from the movies, like motherfucking Wedge Antilles, another secondary character that came from the movies. What is your fucking point? Okay, so let's move on. However, most of his early days revolved around Corran's Gary Stu tendencies. Oh, you're going to go back to that bullshit. Most fans liked Corran. He starred or co-starred in seven novels and played big roles in many more. And no one ever complained about his Gary Stu status because he fucking didn't have a Gary Stu status. Stu. And that's well established. He went through training. He wasn't even liked in the beginning of the X-Wing series. Like, Wedge Antilles, like, dude, you're fucking prideful. You need to, you know, join the squadron as a team player or fucking leave. You know, I'm paraphrasing, but still, I'm pretty sure that's what Wedge Antilles felt inside. And you know, and there's a lot of things like his, like, he didn't know, his investigative tendencies just didn't come out of nowhere. I mean, I don't think this David Harth really knows how characters are developed. That's what's apparent here, because he's saying that he's Gary Stu and he's naming all this stuff here, and I'm countering it, showing that these are just character developments. And then when you go and run Rey through the same ringer, she had no training. There's no explanation why she should be piloting the Falcon like she does. Flight simulators won't help you be an excellent pilot in a sense, especially when you're dealing with something like a freighter that she never had training in, right? And she didn't have experience in flying, really, because she's never left the fucking planet, right? But then you get into the Jedi part or the Force using part, she never had training. Again, innate use of the Force, like hunches and stuff like that, that I don't mind, because that's established. That was established in the movies. But also what was established in the movies is that you needed motherfucking training, right? So there we go. So you put Rey through the same ringer, and it still flashes Mary Sue. I mean, all the motherfucking bells go off, right? And then the bad writing as well. Not only was she a self-fulfillment character, and it's kind of funny because, you know, JJ and them wrote her, right? So is this a self-fulfillment character that, you know, in a female sense, like maybe he wish he was a female. I don't know. Anyways, I'm not gonna get into that bullshit. So let's get into here. There's one thing I wanted to go here to show where he Oh, here it is. So this is where this is going to probably piss you off, and then I'm going to get into this bit of information I found here. So Rey jumped to the head of the Jedi pecking order in the sequel trilogy, the Disney trilogy, which begun all the current problems Star Wars is now having. The Star Wars fan community always had a toxic element. So this is where he's going to start gaslighting us fans here, because we see her as a Mary Sue. We don't like how she was written, with actors like Ahmad Best and Jake Lloyd targeted by fans. What the fuck? I've been in this conversation this 2 weeks ago. Ahmad Best admitted on Twitter that it was media driven hate, and media is the one that driven him to suicide tendencies. Jake Lloyd admitted that it was his school peers making fun of him and teasing him that he could not deal with. But it wasn't fans. So this is where this motherfucker is gaslighting people here, because now it's us. So now he really changed this tune, putting, and he's moved the goalpost to trying to prove that there were Gary Stews before and that we're just being biased, I guess you could say, to now saying we're toxic and we targeted these actors. And so we're targeting Rey, which Rey is not a physical entity. Daisy is the one that played Rey, but that's it. So after their prequel appearances, these elements of fan combined with anti-woke crusaders who perceive Rey's entire existence as a threat to their masculinity, and Star Wars came out of the woodwork to tar and feather Rey with the dread Mary Sue claim to slander the character. See, this is what he's getting to. Not that he was making valid points, to prove with valid, reasonable points. No, he comes here and really moves that goalpost to gaslight fans. In a sense, I guess you could say, if you want to use that term gaslight. And I think, gaslight's going to be one of those words that are now overplayed. Just like woke, anti-woke bullshit is overplayed now. So here we go. So I guess this is her existence threatens my masculinity. Imagine that. and it threatens Star Wars. Well, if you wrote the character in a meaningful manner and stayed true to the foundation that was laid down by George, examples that you can pull from the movies. You don't have to pull from the EU that Jedi need training. How to develop a character like, Luke Skywalker, how he can make that shot to destroy the Jedi. Well, that was told how he could do that. So if you smartly written the character, maybe fans wouldn't have walked away and wouldn't be criticizing these characters that you've written, like Rey. So there we go. So with this being said, let me go ahead and pull that one article. So keep this in mind here, what I shared. I'm not going to get into the other information that he shared, that he's talking about in this article. But, he's saying that it threatens our masculinity and that fans are toxic. Well, who is the most toxic motherfucker here? It is David Hart. And I'll give you guys that information here pretty soon. Let's see here. Let me see what you guys are saying. Let's see here. Most fans didn't go after actors, just the character and the stories. Rilos are the ones that went after the actors, correct? And let's see here. Dang, we're back on the Victorian era. We're all gaslighting with all this gaslighting. Ha ha ha. Right? Right. So let me go ahead and give me a second. I need to pull it. I should have had it up, but I did not. I ate my breakfast. I just chilled at home here. And forgot that I needed to pull up what I found. Let's see here. Are you going to let me do it? Yeah. Let me see here. But it's some interesting bit. And I do see JJ Abrams admits Rey is a Mary Sue. Oh, there we go. All right. Thank you, Soul Assassin, as well. And let me see here. I'm going to pull up that article, and then maybe not the JJ admits, but I'm going to pull up what I'm talking about David Harth here. And I think it's very important that you guys know what's going on behind the scenes with these writers and with Disney Lucasfilm as well. So let me see here. But I want to make sure that I have it up here so that you guys could see here. So, all right. Now, I know the biggest news is Gina Carano. But like I said, I think it's very important. Hello. I think it's very important to also look at all this other stuff that leads all this BS and gives you a clear perspective on who people from Disney deal with. So let's see here. So this David Harth. So this is about David Harth. Imagine calling fans misogynistic, but doing what he did to female fans and CBR still condoning it. He is not a good person. So I'm talking about David Harth here. So here we go. I'm not even going to subtweet here. That CBR is rewarding David Harth with an editing position after a campaign of harassment against a particular woman, speaking to the culture that led me and other women to management positions to quit. So imagine this. He targeted, harassed, and used his platform. And he's no longer on Twitter, mind you, because I was researching all of this. He's no longer on Twitter. He deactivated his account because of the bullshit he's causing. So basically, he did a campaign and harassed a woman, but then he has all the gall and to call us toxic fans because we don't like the character Rey. And so the person that she's quote retweeting, oh yes, let's reward a misogynistic writer whose work actively targeted and harassed women in fandom by promoting him as editor. So it's very important to know because David Harth looks to have like some, resources in Lucasfilm. And he does write, for pop culture. He has been calling fans misogynistic, we are threatened, our masculinity is threatened. And he's calling fans out because we don't like Rey, I guess. But then targets and has harassed. Whether I agree with any of these women's viewpoints on Star Wars right now does not matter. What matters is that this piece of shit, used his platform and, targeted and harassed a woman. And then CBR basically just brushing it aside and keeping him as an editor. This is the trash sites that we deal with. Let's see here. Funny how it's always about tearing down Lucas era, not seeing the virtues of Disney the virtues of Disney are almost like the virtues are lacking. There's pretty much lacking. And, I was talking to Soul Assassin about this, and I shared this bit of information out about this pop culture journalist, and I say that word loosely. And he was like, oh, well, it's not the Gina Carano case, so no one's really caring about that. And I was like, well, it needs to be talked about. Yeah, Gina Carano, yeah, she's a star. She's an MMA fighter. She's made a name for herself. Yes, it's going to be popular news. I agree. I'm not downplaying that whatsoever. But what I'm saying is that we need to be aware of everything else that's going around us when it comes to these IPs and who is writing for and about these IPs. And then going and creating misinformation by calling us toxic fans because, we harassed so-and-so, even though it was proven wrong. And then he himself is the one that did target harassment. So it's very important to even look deeper into all this bullshit. You could still talk about what's going on with the most popular news. That's fine. I'm not saying stop, quit. But I'm saying be aware, because sometimes big popular things will mask other things that are happening. And so that's why I am here to let you guys know about David Harth and CBR and promoting a misogynistic pig in that has been proven, someone that is, covering himself up with the masks and saying us fans are toxic, but doing toxic shit himself and it being condoned. So there you guys go. There you guys go. Let me see what you guys are saying. This David guy is terrible. I agree. And then funny how, okay, I think I read that one. Yeah, so I thought I'd share that. So no matter what my opinion is about what's going on with Gina Carano and stuff like that, that right now that's irrelevant. I'm the kind of person, I sit back and I watch shit go down first. I watch everything develop before I share my opinion. I've shared my opinion just with a few people. I haven't shared it outwardly. And am I making a video about the Gina Carano suing Disney Lucasfilm? Not right now. I may not. I may never not. Never not. That sounds funny. I may never, but I may. I don't know. But my thing is, I'm going to see what happens. I don't, is it gonna, be a hush hush thing and only Gina talk about it? Maybe. We don't know. Does she have a case? Maybe. All of that. So we shall see what develops. I'm the kind of person that'll sit back and look at all aspects of it and then watch things go down and share, my current opinion, which may not be popular, may or not be, with people I trust. So here we go. So I just wanted to share this bit of information with you guys here, just to give you guys a clear idea, all the scum that's basically surrounding Lucasfilm. And, so I think it's very important to look at all angles. So I know we're going to go past 2 hours, and that's fine. I wanted to share something else with you because my point in sharing these Cringe Factor articles, and this is from Screen Rant. So we had a visit from CBR. Now we have a visit from Screen Rant. And I just wanted to give you guys a brief, this is not going to be long, but I'm going to give you guys an example on how, and this is a continued example on how they are changing how you perceive, Star Wars, like the Skywalkers, all of that. Let's see here. OG likes to watch the train wreck before talking about it. I do. I sit back with my popcorn and I watch it all go down before I talk about it. Whoops, wrong one. Let's see here. Let me get some of these articles out of the way. All right. So with this being said, this goes into why I want to talk about Tion Salazar in a little way. And so I'll get into that point as soon as we get into this article a little bit. Forget about Luke Skywalker. Star Wars' most unlikely hero just ruined all Palpatine's plans. What? Say what? Okay, let's do this again. Forget about Luke Skywalker. And this is from Kevin Erdman, and I've read, we've visited his articles before. So forget about Luke Skywalker. Keywords: forget Luke. Star Wars' most unlikely hero just ruined all of Palpatine's plans. Talking about Disney, Lucasfilm, Disney, Star Wars. So key. That's key here. Although Emperor Palpatine's tried snuffing out the history and legacy of the Jedi Order, one Star Wars hero besides Luke may be undoing all that work. So here we go. So, do you think it's a female character or a male character? You tell me in the comments. Do you think that this unlikely person, is female or male? You let me know right now, and then I'll read. Let's see here. Thank you for the insightful conversation. Just finished my 14-kilometer run. Thank you for listening. I hope I was entertaining. I hope I made you laugh with my vulgar language. And that maybe you've learned something today. Well, if you know Rey's history, you'd know that she might not have been born during that time. So do you think it's a female or male character? I'm going to read here in a couple of seconds, or in less than a minute. I'm going to take a swig of my coffee, so that my vocal cords have a little bit of lubrication, I guess you can say, but that doesn't sound right. But anyways. All right. Let's see here. I want to go, we'll just talk from the beginning. So about Luke Skywalker although Luke Skywalker begun restoring the Jedi Order after the Empire's defeat, an unexpected Star Wars hero may have set everything in motion even before the events of Return of the Jedi. Dun dun dun. As seen in the comics set in the aftermath of The Empire Strikes Back, the history and legacy of the Jedi Order has been uncovered. Likewise, this is despite the Emperor Palpatine's efforts to bury and destroy the very memory of the Jedi when he was still ruling the galaxy. So that's a little bit similar to the regular EU, but we'll get more into this. As seen in the final issue of Dr. Aphra's most recent run by Alyssa Wong and Min-Kyu Jung, the Tootler rogue archaeologist sacrifices herself to save her friends from the sentient droid virus known as the Scourge. However, Aphra ends up surviving her crash landing. Oh, talk about Mary Sue, but we won't go there. Landing on the planet Rosildia. I don't know what that. Rosdilla, where she discovers the ruins of the ancient Jedi temple. So, if you haven't guessed already, it's Aphra. It's Aphra that basically, ruined Palpatine's plans. But what plans did she ruin? In the end, it seems as though Dr. Chilla Aphra herself may play a major role in bringing back the history of the Jedi Order, despite Emperor Palpatine's best efforts to snuff out their history in the wake of the Order 66 and the rise of his empire in the Star Wars timeline. So here we go. It is Aphra who is responsible for this. In the pre-Disney lore, some of the findings that helped out Luke, start collecting and piecing everything back together was, Corran Horn, when he found that little museum kind of archive place that was connected nearby the Lusankia, where all the Jedi archives and mutilated Jedi statues and stuff were placed by the Emperor. And then him, after, he chased Han to Dathomir, and then coming to this sealed up ship that Yoda left and had a premonition that there would be a Jedi that will return to the ship. And he left a Dathomirian witch to guard it. And it was Luke that was the one that was basically to receive this information. Yoda may not have known exactly who it was, but it ended up being Luke. And within that had a lot of, it was like training. It was a training ship, a mobile training ship that was, wrecked basically on Dathomir. So Luke was able to collect more information from there. But now it has to be a woman who's responsible on finding all this information. The woman. And I love female Star Wars characters. It was never a thing to it just being all women. A woman needs to do this, a woman needs to that, because Star Wars never had female representation before. That was never the case. But now it's like every single female character that is Disney Star Wars female character is now taking the importance and the significance away from the Skywalkers. Have you noticed that? And this is the same scenario right here. So I thought this is a very important bit of information I needed to share with you guys for a cringe factor. And I think it's important to even go past my, my little, I wouldn't say rule of only 2 hours of live stream, but, going past my established time frame of a live stream. And I want to know what you guys feel about this, because again, this is exactly what Disney is doing to reboot the movies and how you see the Skywalker characters and how you perceive the lore. They don't have to remake the movies. We don't know what's in the contract on the buyout between George and Iger and our Disney in general. But we do know that they're not fully rebooting the movies, but they are rebooting how the franchise and how you view and see the lore today. And this is an example. And I think sharing these examples very important for you guys to give you guys a clear idea what's really going on. And there's many ways to reboot, and this is one way. It's one way of doing that. So Tyranazilla says, I almost forgot about Dr. Aphra. I didn't really focus on her when I read the Vader comics. I think you can tell who I read the comics for. Did like the evil droid, though. I'm not privy to the Vader comics unless there's a certain information that I'm given to by certain people. But I'm not privy to those because I don't put my time and effort into them. Dr. Aphra is Mary Sue. She's everywhere. That, and she also defeated Vader at one point too. There was an image showing how cool and hip Dr. Aphra was when she was in school and made an image of two Mandalorian god kiss each other. So hip. Wow. I didn't know that. Okay. Didn't Luke find great Jedi holocron? Yes. There's so many instances like, Luke Skywalker, with the help of others, mind you, finding a lot of archives to help him piece through. But did he piece everything together? No, he did not. So like attachment, and certain things that was vague to him on what attachments and stuff mean. And, but he corrected some, and he unknowingly corrected some of the faults of the Jedi too. Githany from Darth Bane is an interesting female character so far, and she's a Sith, correct? And people in the Twitter say I put George on a pedestal, even though I'm very critical of the Clone Wars. Yeah, and that's the thing. I don't put him on a pedestal. I admit George, he contradicts himself. He says things. The company has corrected what he said. He changes his mind sometimes. There's a lot of things. There's some clunky lines I don't care for in the prequels, but I like the prequels. Doesn't mean I hate the prequels. But I get the point of what he was trying to do. But I don't put anyone on a pedestal when it comes to like producers, actors, or what have you. I've never been that kind of person. But people accuse me of doing that. And it's kind of silly because I'm like, you don't know me, but that's okay. That's okay. When's April 1st? Let's go. Let's get OG to do a shill video for Dr. Aphra. Now you revealed something that's not going to be it's not going to be an April Fool's joke anymore, because then it's already been revealed that it's a joke. Yeah. So I just thought I'd want to share this with you guys. This is the gist of it. She finds these archives or whatever, because she's an archaeologist, and I guess she discovers some of the books that he has. And so there you have it. Sacred ancient texts. So there you have it. So I just thought I'd share this with you guys because, like I said, I think it's important to get this in front of you guys. It's like every single CAF chat, it proves of this reboot, right? It proves that, we are witnessing the changing of the lore. And that's why they did away with the EU. It wasn't just because of so-called creative freedom. It's because they wanted to reboot. But like I said, I don't know what's in the contract. Maybe they can't fully reboot the movies. Who knows? But that's just speculation I'm sharing. And that's all we can do. But in reality, reboot is happening. And not many people who love the EU are reading this new stuff. So they may not know. So. And those who do know, like these Disney shills and stuff, won't admit it. And that's fine, I guess. I mean, You know, denial is a hell of a place to be, right? But that's okay. So with that being said, you know, keep your eyes open. You know, like of course Gina Carano is like very heavily out there right now, but keep your eyes out for other things. Don't just be blinded or narrow-sighted just with one main event that's going on. You know, keep your perception open and wide, and be more aware of what's going on around you when it comes to your favorite IP, you know, outside of the popular stuff, because it's very important, and it might lend to a greater understanding of what their direction is for these properties as well. And so with that being said, I'm going to start closing out here. So thank you guys again for joining me. If you have any questions, please let me know. And, you know, and you can get a hold of me on Twitter. You can get a hold of me on here. I do have my OG Star Wars email. Yeah. So I'm always here for you to talk lore. Corran Horn was a fun talk, especially breaking it down that he's not a Gary Stu. He might be OP in some senses, but he is not a Gary Stu. And let's see here. Check out and save thriftbook.com to find books. Yes, exactly. That's one of my go-to places outside of eBay and Amazon. And I always find it funny when Pisney, she'll say, who reads those old Star Wars books anyways? Obviously not them. Obviously not them. That's why they're so ignorant to everything and the creation of Star Wars. But then thank you guys again for joining me. I enjoy our CAF chats. If you're catching the replay, thank you for catching the replay. I enjoy that. And I love that you guys come back to watch the replay and are committed to that. You know, every one of you guys are the reason why I can continue with what I do here. So stay tuned for expanded lore. And we are discussing, I'm going over Legacy of the Force, part of Legacy Era, and behind the scenes and all that. So stay tuned for that. So if you're not privy to Legacy of the Force or Legacy Era, I highly recommend following expanded lore. And through expanded lore I will be uncovering a lot of the different eras of Star Wars in the historical timeline of Star Wars. So thank you guys again. And with that being said, I shall talk to you later, and may the Force be with you.
The fate of the galaxy is now in your hands. With the new LEGO Star Wars Slave 1, you can load Captain Solo, arm your weapon systems, man the cockpit, and take off with the most feared ship in the galaxy. But watch out for rebel ships. No matter the enemy, no matter the firepower, you control the action. With the new LEGO Star Wars collection.
And I've always leaned towards if we're going to create something, we should check and see if it existed already to the fans. Because it has way more value if we bring that in. And It's like, why would I just replace it with something new? So if we're going to do an admiral, if we're going to do a big military leader, yeah, I could create a new guy, sure. But what about Thrawn? Thrawn is great. Thrawn is a character we all know. Thrawn has a lot of credibility. So then you ask yourself, is it right to use him? And can we use him in a way that's similar to the books? Or are we using him and it's going to go completely into left field? And there have been times when we wanted to use things from the EU, and I was like, yeah, but we can't use it that way, so why? I don't want to use it and change it. Mm-hmm. You know, I don't want to use it and make it something completely different. That's rude.
Another happy landing.